Hey guys, welcome back into another episode of painting. Today is part 2 of our snowy backcountry here. We're going to put in the foreground. We're going to put in a nice little cabin up here in the front. We're going to put in a nice big tree that's lost all of its leaves, some little spots where the grass is still poking through into the snow, and then go back into the background and add in some other trees that have lost their leaves as well, because I want to keep it nice and balanced. So we're going to jump right into that. Now this is still nice and wet and slick. I just went from last night, and this is why I love oil painting, because all the paint is still wet from there. All the paint on my palette still just as wet from last night. So I don't even have to do anything to prepare it or do anything different. I can literally just set it down and then come right back into it. So I was hoping to get a little more natural light coming in through today, because my lighting is a little bit yellow. It should be a little bit more of a darker color, or I'm sorry, not a darker color, more of a bright white. That would be a lot better. But sadly, that storm from last night, it's still here. It's still raining. It's crazy. So, but we will go ahead. Let's jump right on into our painting, and let's looking around here. Let's go ahead and grab our knife. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and build ourselves a little cabin. So in order to do that, we are going to first kind of scrape out the indication of the cabin right up onto the canvas. So we're going to kind of create the shape of it right in there, and then we'll come in and block in some color to it to finish forming it out. So let's see here. We're going to go ahead, and he is going to live right. It's always that first moment. He's gonna live right there, and there he's starting to live. So I'm just gonna go in and start kind of scraping out the edges of his roof. And what this does for us is, A, we kind of get an idea of the shape of where the cabin's gonna be at, but most importantly, it kind of helps us remove some excess paint off of the canvas, so when we go to put the building material on there, we can actually see where we're trying to work at. So we need to bring this down just a little bit more. And the nice part is, with doing it like this, we're not committed to anything, and we can make and change the angles and the things as we go, because my first angle was different from my back angle there. So I can change how that is going to appear just as we're working through this. We're not committed to anything just yet, but it's nice to have the ideas of where everything is going to be. So we're going to have our roof coming like that, and then on this side we've got our roof going to the back, just like that. And then we've got our front side of our cabin. So there we go. Just like that, we've got ourselves the indications and the starts of a little cabin. In fact, if anything, we need to make this just a little bit taller. Kind of help with the sizing on it. Yeah. Okay, alright. So what we're gonna go now into is, let's just go ahead, let's get some of this nice pretty light blue-ish color out of here. And we're gonna drop that in right there. And let's pull ourselves out some white. Mostly just titanium white. We're gonna go get that little roll of paint right on the edge of the knife, and then we're just going to come up here to the roof and drop it in, and we'll just let it slide on down the roof. Let that snow sit there, and on the back side we can create our edge. Now there's a lot of other colors kind of mixed in with my snow at the moment, and that's okay. And we're gonna go to this side. And create that. So we got the roof just about wrapped up here. Now, cabins are not my strong suit. I'm still getting a lot of practice learning how to do them better, but that's what just takes time. Time and practice. Keep on doing stuff. You'll get better and better at it as you go. One thing I can already see is that it's the angle there that is very different. So, in fact, I'm just going to change that. We can change things as we want to. Man, we really went through the titanium white on this one. And by just changing our angle here, let's go ahead and scrape off some of that we used. We can cover that up. So let me grab some more titanium white real quick. Let's mix him in over here. Now, on this palette, some of these areas are a little drier than others. So if from the paint on your palette, you don't want to let it sit too long, because especially when you thin it out in some of these thinner areas, it will start to dry up on you. So you do want to be careful about that, leaving it overnight or leaving it for a while before painting again. Your painting will stay nice and slick, but you will definitely lose some areas on your palette if you're not careful. So let's see here. Let's get a nice little roll of paint. And let's go in here. And there we go. That makes it look a lot better. Fixing that angle, making it match a little more. There we go. Alright, so now we can go ahead and start putting in some of our barn, or our shed, or our shack, or our cabin, whatever you want to call it. So we're just going to take some Van Dyke Brown, and this is just straight Van Dyke Brown. I'm definitely going to need to get some more of it, and actually I'm going to mix it together with some raw umber. I'm just going to take both of those together. Now, raw umber is not a color that Bob uses. It was a color that I picked up because there was a while there where I couldn't find anywhere that sold the Van Dyke Brown that I needed. So I started using raw umber. Raw umber is another dark brown. It's not quite as dark as Van Dyke Brown, so I don't use it especially for things like this nearly as much, but it is still a nice dark brown, so you can get away with it, especially if that's all you got around. Alright, so we're just gonna keep dropping in. We're just blocking in color, not too worried about the bottom of it. We can cut that off and change that as we go. And now notice, all of a sudden I've got this extra side here. What we'll end up doing is kind of bringing it back into the tree to kind of push that back in there. So, like I said, you're not committed to anything when you do these. You don't have to all of a sudden just like live with any choices you make. And that's the best part, is with painting, it's your world. You can make things however you want to. Alright. So, we're gonna end up making the front here a little bit lighter. And I accidentally got a little bit of brown up on our roof, so I'm gonna change that right now. Go back into it. Actually, we'll do that in a second. We will adjust that. Let's take some of our light blue and white and go into a little bit of burnt sienna. Kind of mix it all together. This is gonna make our shadow color on our barn here. Get it nice and mixed up. I'm just gonna go to this side and just let it kind of break. I hit it a little bit hard there, and the more that I keep touching it, the more that dark color underneath is going to get picked up. And that's exactly what we're looking for here. I wanted that side to be a lot darker than that. So we can always come back with a dark color and go over the top of it like that. You can keep making and changing things as you want as you go. We can put in the little indications of some boards going back there. All kinds of little guys. Alright, in fact I'm going to hit it again one last time with even more darkness. Just like that. And as we work our way back, we want it to get smaller, whereas the front we want it to be a lot brighter. Alright, so with the front here, we definitely want to have a little bit brighter in color. So let's take some of those, and we're just going to bring it, and just like with the mountains, just lightly bring it on down. Just let it glide right down. The canvas will pick up whatever it wants to. It knows. Oh goodness, got a little shaky there. That's alright. Alright. We can live with that. Let's go ahead and let's give him a door that he's going to come through. So I'm going to scrape that out, and then maybe a window as well. It's crazy that window's a little bit bigger than his door, isn't it? Well, he likes looking out a lot. How about that? So we got those indications scraped out there. Now we can take a little bit of black and just go right over those. To make it look more official. Alright. And then we can take some of our highlight color and go back and kind of form up these edges a little better. So now we can really define the differences. Alright, and the same thing here, we can go in here and scrape in some little bits of wood, like that. Alright, now I'm going to take the least little touch of some white to kind of just try to highlight that door just a little bit even more so. It's a delicate little touch. It's not one to stick on there right now for me. We'll get him there. We'll get him there. There we go. All right. Okay. Well, there is our cabin. Like I said, I need a lot of practice with cabins. I've got a lot more work to do on them, but they really aren't that hard to do. Just practicing with shapes and your angles, and that's how you definitely get a lot better. So I'm gonna grab a fan brush, go right into our white, and we are gonna perform a little cabinectomy here to finish putting our cabin in there. So I'm just gonna grab some of this color right underneath him and pull it out. And that will set him right down into the painting. Just like that. So just picking up some white and just trying to allow him to set right down into it. And we want to pick up a little bit of that color to give the shadow colors and other things in our snow, and we gotta watch our brush strokes a little bit as well, because remember, we're trying to create this lay of the land for where he's at. So we can go now with that back into that dark color that we used to make our trees. Oh goodness, that one's actually pretty dried up. That's all right, we still got plenty and we can mix up some more. And I'm going to place in some trees back in there to kind of help fix the little bit of a line that you can see off to the side. In fact, we can just do things like that, like that. And there we go. Just like that, we got ourselves a happy little cabin. Not too shabby. So I'm gonna scrape off all that dark color we had, because that is no longer any good to us. It actually did dry up, and it's interesting because some of the stuff did, some of the stuff didn't. I'm actually very surprised that that color dried up that quickly, but maybe there's something about the Prussian Blue that just dries that fast. I don't know. So I'm gonna grab and make up a little bit more of that, just taking some Prussian Blue and some black and some browns, a little bit of crimson, mixing it all together and putting it on there. This one seems to be coming out a little more brown because I don't have exactly a lot of blue left to work with. Alright. But that's okay. That is okay. So, let's take that color, take our dark brush, load it up full of paint, and we're going to give ourselves just the happy little indications of some grassy little things that just live right out here. Just right along in here, and we want to make sure we're kind of following the lay of the land. We want there to be a little bit of a hill that they're coming down. We're trying to create those indications, and then, you know what, right over here we're gonna have some more as well. Just like that. And one last little area right here. All right. He goes right on off the canvas. We don't know. Just wherever he wants to live. And then, you know what? I'm feeling crazy. Let's do another evergreen. He's going to live right in here. Right here. He does now. I'm getting a little more black. I want to try to really help him shine on through here. But instead of bending the bristles down with this one, I actually want to bend the bristles up. I want to give him the upwards kind of pushes. And that way we got a tree with just a different little bit of a shape. And there he is. We got one, and you can create these different shapes just with the ways that you push with your bristles. So these normal ones we're pushing down, whereas here I'm pushing up and up and up. And now we got ourselves a nice little tree out front. All right. In fact, I'm going to bring him up just a little more, just because I want him to be a little bit more prominent. And there we go. We got ourselves a nice little tree right there. Getting wild, getting crazy, making things happen. So let's go back into our highlight color and let's clean off our knife. Normally I don't have to even dunk the knife into the liquid or to the paint thinner, because normally there's not any issues. So I'm going to take some of the same kind of barn color that we had here. I think it makes a nice good wood color. And just put in the indications of some little trunks in them. Just some indications of a trunk back in there. There we go. Just like that. Okay, and so now we can take our highlight color, and I'm gonna grab some liquid white, be right back, because I know that there is still a lot of paint in there, and we are going to highlight him. And as we work our way down this tree, we want to get darker and darker, darker, darker. All those things, let that happen. Let it happen. Not too much. There we go. I like that. I'm also going to go ahead and add just a little touches in here onto our grassy areas, just because I like it with the multiple different colors. I like it to have different shades of things and different effects. To me, that makes the painting look even more and have more depth to it. So we got that. Time to put in our tree. We got to put in our tree with no leaves. So let's clean our knife off yet again. And then let's reach down in here and let's grab some Dyke Brown. We need more. Alright, Dyke Brown. Cool. Oh, we're making a mess putting the cap back on. Of course we are. Trying to do this and hold this, it's a little more challenging. There we go. Dyke Brown. So, we'll take our knife, pull it out nice and flat. There we go. Gonna get ourselves a little roll, and we're gonna go up here and just start putting in our big tree. There he is. So I like doing it with the knife to put in the big tree. Bob tends to do it with like a fan brush. That's got messy color all over it. I don't want that. There we go. So Bob tends to do it with a fan brush. I like doing it with a knife and kind of scraping out exactly where I'm going to put it, because I think that this gives just a better, darker color through it. The fan brush to me leaves it a little light in color, and I like there to be more paint and more color coming through there. There we go. Yeah. So I just got some Dyke Brown, that's all this is. And we're just coming down through it and just trying to blot in our trunk. That's all we're doing. We are just blotting in wherever our trunk lives. So the first side it's easy because I'm right-handed. The back side, that's when it becomes a nice challenge to work through, because I'm not ambidextrous. So gotta get a little creative and trust yourself when you come back for the other side. Alright. And we're just going to bring him right on up into a nice point like that. And we'll fix that up even more so with a script liner. Make it even nicer looking. But for now, we're just blotting in color with the blade. There we go. I like that. And now we're going to do this tree pretty similar to this one up in the corner. Kind of a birchy sort of look to it, with whites, blues, blacks, browns. my goodness, we are just shooting right on through this Dyke Brown for this. It's a big old tree. And that's one thing I was kind of thinking the other day. You're not really done with your painting until you get a big old tree in there, are you? You gotta have the big old tree there to really put everything into perspective. But I know there's a lot of people who say the big tree ruins it. I like the big tree. I always like the big tree. So there we go, we got in our trunk. So now what we need to do is go in here, and I'm gonna again clean the knife, because I am just gonna take pure titanium white and go up along the sides here and pull it in. And as we do this, we're gonna continue to pick up that Dyke Brown, and it will mix as we go all the way up. Up, up. And the cool part I love about mixing it with this knife like this is you create texture into your painting. The texture really, after this whole thing dries, makes it look like bark. And so when you pull this, you want to try to pull it to give it the indications that it is actually round. Your tree has shape, it has a circle-ness to it, not just a flat object. And there we go. We got our details onto our tree just like that. And then the one thing I like to do sometimes, and as soon as we don't have our knife sticking to things, is just going into just a touch of black and pulling off a little roll right on the edge of the side of the knife, and just putting in the indications of just some little lines and things. Just every now and then though. You don't need a lot of them. You don't want to make patterns or things through it, but it's a nice little way to add a little more effects. Okay, so we got that done. There we go. So now we're going to just go straight into our script liner, where we will finish up with this painting. And this is the fun and easy part. So let's just mix up a little bit of this black and raw umber and Dyke Brown that we got left. Put it all together in one nice color. And at this stage, this is where you can do as many or as few as you really want to do. It's entirely up to you. But we're going to just grab some paint thinner, and we want to really thin down this color we just made right here. And we want to get it down to be as thin as ink. Still need a little bit more. Yeah, come on. There we go. Yeah, and you see how thin that is. And then we just take our script liner, and I'm going to spin it as we go through it, and that helps bring it to a nice sharp point all the way at the top. So now that we got it up here at the top, we can finish out the top of our tree. Yeah. Kind of help him grow in a nice one little point there. And then from here, we just add as many or as few branches as you would like to. I kind of like to start from the bottom and start adding them in, so I work up as I go. Because also the bottom ones are going to be bigger and stronger. And therefore, when your color and your paint and your script liner is really strong, then you're working from down low where it should be nice and strong, and as it gets lighter as you work your way up, then it works out nicely. So just gonna go in here and add in some of these guys, and we're just really lightly adding these in. Not a lot to it. Not too much. Because some of them you'll see real obviously, some of them they won't be so obvious, and we want to have things that come across the tree because this tree is again three-dimensional, and we want things that are gonna cross over in between other ones. We want things growing in every which direction. Now if you noticed, that one I pulled down from here. Definitely really don't want to do that. You want to start with the tree and go out and apply less and less as you get further, less and less pressure, I'm sorry, as you get away from the tree, because the more pressure, the wider it is, and then the less pressure, the thinner it all gets. So that way you really are creating like a good shape for your branches. And I haven't been able to find a script liner much smaller than this one, but having a much thinner one would allow you to really put in way more finer details and better branches, because this one's kind of big, to be honest, and I wish I can find a smaller one. I haven't been able to find one, but a smaller one would definitely, especially working these smaller branches, keep you from all of a sudden having a branch that is bigger than the trunk itself. I've had that happen way too many times, and when it happens, it is frustrating. It is frustrating, but it is what it is. We can't control everything, and you know what? We can always work with whatever we do get. Let's see. So this is where you can just continue on and put as many or as few as you really want to. If things overlap with other ones, that is perfectly okay. You want to have a variation between different branch sizes and different things. That's what really just gives the tree even more interest in it. And we want to, especially with some of these bigger branches, try to really make sure to darken them up a little bit. We don't want too many holes showing through your branch from the canvas material, and it's okay to have some. It adds a little bit of texture to it, but especially with some of the bigger ones, it's better to try to fill some of that in to make it nice and dark. And if you had a big enough branch, which on this one we don't really have one that's quite big enough for it yet, you could go in and touch some of the white and go over the top of it to add a little bit more color into it. So all different kinds of interesting things you can do. Really getting some small branches now all of a sudden. It's kind of really coming to a really nice point, and I like that. And that's what you want. You want a good variation of different effects and things. You don't want to make everything all the same. You want things to overlap, because that makes your painting look a lot more realistic. So with that, I think we're going to call that tree pretty much done right there. I don't really see too many more spots that I want to go in and add too many more details to it. I think we've got a good amount of branches and things, and you can pretty much, I mean, if you really during the wintertime go look at a tree that is lost all of its leaves, you will see that it is crazy just how many branches there is. I mean, it is a crazy amount. So you can pretty much infinitely just keep painting on more and more and never find a need to stop. But at some point here we're gonna have to. So that's gonna be it for that tree. Now I want to go back in here and put in some in kind of in the background and try to, because we have all kinds of other trees that live in here that definitely don't have all their leaves as well, and so we created this nice little forest, and we want to create some of those same types of trees way back here in the distance. And so we're just gonna put in the indications of some way back there. The important thing is trying to keep that distance effect, because remember, we're working far back in the distance here, so we don't want all these to be too bright, not too obvious. And I'm thinking what I actually want to do is make another quote big one, but he's going to be smaller and he's going to live right here. He's going to grow up a little bit sideways. In fact, I'm going to grab a fan brush. Nope. I'm going to grab, this is similar to a filbert. It's not actually a filbert brush, but it is similar. I'm going to grab him to make the trunk for this guy. So he's going to live just kind of right in here. Just like that. So I'm just getting lots of this same dark color we've been using to make these branches with, and just pulling in a nice trunk right in here. Now I just noticed something that I got a little bit ahead of myself. I just really wanted to put in these trees. I love making these trees. They are beautiful and fun to create, but we forgot to finish off our snow. We forgot to finish putting in the snow all the way up to the front of the painting here. So let's go ahead. We're going to finish this tree, and we're probably going to use this and a 1-inch brush to kind of get in between our trees here and our grasses to finish pulling in our snow. So that one I think is still close enough that we should definitely be able to see some detail on him. So we're going to kind of scrub out a little bit of color that's here in our brush and clean it just a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to go right into some of that white and just pull it across just like we were doing. Actually, you know what? I don't like that. Let's use our knife. I love using the knife. You can paint an entire painting with just a knife. So I'm going to go in here using the side of the knife and just drop in the little indications here. Now you notice that first one, my goodness, it was strong and bright white. And that's okay, because we can just keep touching it, and the more we do, the darker it's just going to keep on getting. So, you can touch it from here, touch it from this side, add in all kinds of little things. But just let the canvas take off whatever it wants to. It knows what it needs. All right, and then we'll add in a couple branches there, finish our snow, and we will have a finished painting, I think. I think that'll finish it off. Let's see, right through there, yeah. It's gonna come right over our house. Oh, goodness, that's a big old branch too. That's a big one. It's almost like a cactus branch. And especially going through that roof. That roof is so thick with paint, we gotta really thin it down in order to make it get over some of these distant trees and other things like that. It's gotta be a lot thinner. In fact, I'm gonna grab a little more paint thinner just because of that, because it definitely is getting a little thick on me. This paint thinner evaporates pretty quickly, so gotta make it work quick. But you can always add more. All right. Now, because of that one big, huge arm, we definitely want to try to add in some of that white onto it to make it blend right into our tree. Show that it actually is part of it. So I just picked up a little bit of white and kind of mixed it right on in there to help that. Back up into our dark brown. Okay, with that, I think that guy is finished. We're gonna add in our snow and call this guy get done. So let's clean our script liner. We're gonna need it for signing the picture. And then let's grab a 1-inch brush and just go straight into some titanium white. Picking up as much color as we can. Yeah, you see I'm just loading it full and full of color. Look at that, I brought it to a chiseled point right on there. Look at that. That's how much we're grabbing. And we want to just grab and pull down into some of these grassy areas that we have picked up. So take it and pull it out. Pull to pull in our snow into this area. Now it would have been smarter to do this before I went in and put our big trees and all that stuff, but oh well. Got a little excited, so now we got to just work around it, and that's not too bad. We can do that. So I'm just going to work around the items, work around our trees, and remember to just follow that lay of land. That is the important thing. Let's see here. This one, we're going to grab it and we're just going to pull them out. Just like that. Take it and pull. There we are. Okay. And give it the indication of a little bit of a walkway back into there. And then back over here. We gotta fix our angles with this thing. Yeah. Like that. These are real subtle little small things. They're not exactly visible from the video, but they certainly are when you're looking at the painting up close. Picked up a lot of color right there, and that's okay. We can just smooth it right on out. There we go. And with that, we have ourselves a finished painting. Let's see, so now we're just going to sign it, and I think that will finish us off. Let's see, just cleaning up some of these edges. Okay, let's grab our script liner right into the paint thinner again. And I love to sign mine in red. Part of me likes to sign it in red because my dad does not like it. He says it ruins the painting because it's so bright in comparison to everything else. And that's kind of why I like it. I want my signature to be obvious. I want everybody to know that it was mine. I don't want somebody else stealing it. So I'm going to just go down here in the corner. And besides, when you do this with a, when you put a frame around this, you can't even see the signature anyways. The frame covers it all up, especially when you do it down here in the side. So there we go. There we are. Got a little signature and then a date, or the year, not quite the date. 2020. And there we go. So I hope you did enjoy today's painting. It has been a lot of fun to do. I want to work more in the future on doing different cabins and things and buildings, because I got to work on my shapes and those kinds of things. This has been a really good one for practicing trees, as we have a lot of them in here. So hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. See you later.